Hi, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Z. I am a tattoo artist, and so if you read the title of this video, I'm really excited to share with you my tattoo tour. I wanted to give you guys the lay of the land. As a tattoo artist, I get asked all the time, you know, what's my tattoo stories? Like, how many do I have? So I thought it would be fun to kind of compile it all into one video. So I'm gonna split it into two parts. The first part is going to be my tattoo origin story. So the couple of tattoos that kind of surround what my first tattoo was, why I got into tattooing, which tattoos were a part of my practice journey. And towards the second part of the video, I'm just gonna go through all my tattoos. I think I've got around 35 to go through today. So, you know, not gonna spend too long on each one. Just gonna say what they are and where I got them from. And if there's a little story, I'll add it in there as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would also love to know like what your current tattoo ideas are or what your favorite tattoo on yourself is. I always love to know like what people are getting in terms of tattoos. It's super fascinating to me. Let's start off my tattoo origin story with my very first tattoo. I think it's important to start there. So my first tattoo is this blue Hakusai wave over here. It's on my right arm. I got it in Korea during a summer trip the year that I graduated high school. Me and my best friend went to Korea and Taiwan. When we were in our like last semester of high school, we were like, should we get tattoos? And you know, I'm an illustrator, so I've always loved the idea of adorning your body with art and, you know, living your life, celebrating art, you know, even on your own body. And so I was like, hell yeah, let's go get a tattoo. And so this tattoo is by Uzi Tattoo. He's probably one of the most world-renowned Korean artists. If you've seen any of those porcelain sleeves, body sleeves, that is the guy. And he lives in LA now, but at the time he was in Seoul. So we went to Seoul and we got matching Hakusai wave tattoos. And then this story leads to a slightly darker point of my life, which was when my mom found out about the tattoo. That was a difficult time. Let me run you through the story. So essentially, I came back home from Korea and Taiwan. I was taking a shower at home. So I left the bathroom door like slightly ajar, maybe like this much. And I was still wearing a tank top, I remember. And my mom walks by behind the staircase that's right next to the bathroom. And she turns around to talk to me through the mirrors, but then sees me in the mirror, sees my arm, and you could just see her face like switch in an instant. Oh my God, I will remember that face till the day I die. And she was, to put to the very least, very upset. And I will premise, I did this knowing that she would hate the tattoo. I knew that this was not something that she approved of at all. 2 days later, she takes me to the tattoo removal center. I was shit scared, hoping that, you know, she'd let me at least make a choice about it. But then we get to the clinic and they say that they won't actually do the removal on me because it was too fresh of a tattoo. You generally have to wait at least 3 to 6 months before you do tattoo removal, because when you get a tattoo, you are harming the skin, and then it needs to recover. And then when you do a tattoo removal, you are also harming the skin by burning it with lasers. So I think they just weren't willing to do it so close to the day that I actually got the tattoo. So thankfully, I got to go to college and I got to keep my tattoo. And ever since then, she's always looked at the tattoo with extreme disdain, but has not attempted to have me remove it ever again. So this leads me into my second tattoo, which is the first hand poke I ever did on myself as a practice. So this was about 5 years later, and the lockdown hit really hard in London where I was studying. We weren't allowed to leave our apartments for more than 30 minutes a day. So me and all my flatmates were bored out of our minds, and we all decided that we needed to have a hobby. So I actually decided to have the hobby of doing hand poking. So I started hand poking. I practiced for about 3 months on fake skin. I didn't tattoo a person at all. And then at some point, I remember my flatmates telling me that they thought I was ready to start tattooing people. But the thing is that when you're practicing on fake skin, it's definitely not the same as tattooing a person, because on a person, you have to see how it heals, how the body tolerates the ink, and the skin depth in which you poke the ink into. So I wanted to practice on myself. It's teeny tiny. It is a little asterisk because it has a couple straight lines in it, and I thought it would be good practice. It's a cute little shape. I love a little asterisk. So I did a couple of the lines. The first one I definitely blew out. It was too deep, but you can see a blowout like that almost immediately. And so every other line, I tried to adjust my skin depth and the pressure at which I was poking at. And so once I started hand poking, I joined a studio. You know, everyone was like, well, when are you going to start getting more tattoos? And so I asked my boss, Tash, to tattoo me for my second time, but the first proper time in 5 years. And I had this little scorpion thing saved, like a little embossed scorpion that I had saw on an envelope many years ago. And I remember thinking that I thought it would be a good tattoo when I finally started getting tattoos again. She put it on the hip that the little star is on. I like to think of that corner of my hip as like the origin story. And then the next tattoo is a little name stamp on my wrist. I'll put a photo up. This is the first proper hand poke that I did on myself. So the star was just a little practice, but you know, I would not sell it as a tattoo that I'm proud of. So when I started doing more hand poking and I felt a lot more confident about what I was doing, that's when I did a little hand poke on myself. I did a name seal stamp. It's one of the characters in my Chinese name, An, which means peace. It means to have peace wherever you go. And so I decided to stamp that on my wrist. That is the first hand poke that I did on myself. And then when I transitioned into machine tattooing, that's when I did a lot of practices on my ankle and shin area, which again, I'll put more photos up of. And I did a couple practices because I think hand poking and machine, they're both tattooing, but they're totally different beasts. I almost feel like they're different mediums, except for the fact that we're working on the same canvas. And so that concludes the first part of this video, which is my tattoo origin story. And so now I will kind of just run you through the rest of my tattoos. I think I will start on my left side, my left arm, and then my right arm, my torso, left leg, then my right leg. So let's get into it. All right, to start, I have two coordinating tattoos on my shoulders or upper arms. They are a brother and sister tattoo. They're super fine line, single needle. I kind of designed them myself based off of all the Chinese calendars that I saw growing up. Underneath it, I have a vase tattoo. This is done by one of my good friends, Anne. Shishan Yu is her username. She has both blue and red, which if I haven't kind of like specified yet is my color palette on my body. I have black ink, blue ink, and red ink. And so this was the first tattoo that I got that both had blue and red ink. It's a vase with a little poppy inside of it. And poppies kind of commemorate the two places that I lived at the time, California and London. California's state flower is the California poppy. And in London, you'll see red poppies everywhere. I'm not really sure what they're meant to kind of like symbolize, but you see them a lot on the front of taxis. Sometimes you'll see people wearing pins of them. And so I think seeing the poppy both in California and in London just kind of felt like there was this continuum, even though I was in a totally different country and in a different culture as well. So that kind of celebrates my two places that I was living at the time. In my inner arm is a little fish and bunny tattoo done by Hio Midori in Toronto. She is amazing with color, and so it has red, pink, and light blue. And then underneath it is a signet ring tattoo that I got. It actually has a Chinese lion in it. In the front of my arm, underneath the vase, is my Pokyo tattoo. She is a lady wearing a cape of stars underneath the moon. Right next to it is a lotus flower that my friend Xing did. Xing Allman is her username. I've gotten a couple tattoos by her. For that kind of placement where the elbow bends, I normally recommend people to get something that's quite organic. I wanted it so that the flower heads didn't warp so much, but the stems I'm totally okay with having them warp, and it's kind of fun that they bend around. So I really like that placement. And then on the back of my arm, if you can see, I have a blue vase. It is done by an amazing Portuguese artist called Creating Daisy. Right above it is a tattoo by Cassie in Bloom. She is an amazing tattoo artist based out of Amsterdam. I just love the way that she draws flowers. It's so unique, and it's so unique to her illustration style. Over here on the front forearm, I have a tattoo of my childhood dog Fudgy. He was my lifelong best friend. I got him when I was 7 years old, and he passed away when I was 21. So he really got to watch all of the formative years of my life. He would follow me around everywhere. We were best buds. He was my little brother. He was the one that made me an older sister, and he is just so special to me, if you can't tell. So when he passed away, I got a tattoo of him on my forearm. I never want to forget his face. I never want to forget his essence. I could get emotional talking about it, but it's a very special tattoo. Next to it is actually the only arm tattoo that I did on myself. It is a fish with some bubbly puddles, with some sakuras and whatnot. If I'm being completely honest, this is not my favorite tattoo. It's actually far from it. It's probably one of my least favorite tattoos. It's a little faded. I'll probably touch it up in the future, but for now, I've just kind of left it as is. I actually get a lot of compliments on it because people like the way that it's so faded and vintage looking. I'm okay with it for now, so it's gonna stay there like that. And then moving on to my right arm and my inner arm, I have this piece by a tattoo artist called Long Way Tattoos. I feel like he really knows how to capture a moment. And so when I saw these two flashes, I thought it would be really cool to piece them together as one piece. Over here, I have my Snoopy tattoo, which is one of my most complimented tattoos. I think Snoopy is just so nostalgic for everyone. This one is actually dedicated to my dad because he plays tennis every single day at 5 a.m. I think ever since I was like 3 or 4 years old, I don't think I've ever seen him not go play tennis at 5 a.m. So that is for my dad. And on my elbow bend, I got another flower because, like I said, I wanted something organic and it can bend with my arm. I love that there's two flowers because where they join is kind of where the arm bends the most. So it's kind of looking like they're bending into each other, which is really cute. And then underneath it is a rabbit tattoo by Made of Flowers, my friend Sav. You can't tell, I have a lot of bunny tattoos. Rabbit is my Chinese zodiac sign, so I feel really in touch with rabbits. So moving on to my torso now, I have a sternum tattoo and a chest tattoo done by a good friend, Mara. Come to Sister is her username, and she is probably my absolute favorite hand poke artist ever. I have never met someone who puts so much of herself into a tattoo, and so it feels really special to have these two pieces close to me. It is a little cherub on top and then Mother Mary at the bottom crying. And then right here on the two sides of my under boob area are two horses. They are kind of like carnival horses, and on my left upper rib area is a hand poke tattoo that my friend Graham did. It's my first torso tattoo that I actually got. It's upper rib because at the time I thought maybe if I wanted to hide it from my parents, so that would hide underneath a bra strap. So I got that one. It's a little dove. I love kind of that Christian imagery over here. So there's a little dove over here, and continuing on with that imagery, I have a cherub on the other side of my ribs. It was my first proper rib tattoo with a machine, and it hurt. You know, we say rib tattoos are one of the most painful placements. It definitely hurt. There's a reason why I haven't ran to get my other side done. On my upper left hip, I have a very recent tattoo. I got it in Toronto during my last trip. It actually made it into my Toronto video, so if you want to go watch that, it is there. It is a Qi Ling tattoo by a very talented Korean artist. He is incredible. It took about 7.5 hours with breaks, and it was quite a session, but it was really fascinating to see the way that he works, and he's so meticulous, and I really admired that. And then I kind of skip over my whole lower thigh, upper knee area, and I have no tattoos in that area, mostly because when I go back to California, I want to be respectful to my parents. So if you didn't notice, I don't have many forearm tattoos because I like to be able to wear like 3/4 sleeve length stuff and then long pants, or even a short skirt and some socks, and I can still have my bare legs out. Yeah, kind of just a respect thing for my parents. I'm not really sure if eventually I will get more leg tattoos. I have essentially what you would call a sock. So on my left leg sock, I have a beautiful ancient Chinese lady on the front of my shin, done by my friend Xing Almond, again, the one who did the lotuses. It's so beautiful. It's so intricate. And then at my ankle bone, this is a tattoo with a story actually. So it is an egg, and that was the first tattoo and still the only tattoo that I got at a tattoo parlor. So the story is that at the first studio that I worked at, there was Elliot, Graham, and me. We kind of combined into this little trio of friends. And so E for Elliot, G for Graham, and Z for Z spells out an acronym that sounds like eggs. And so when we were hanging out one day in central London, we got a little bit bored and we just said, what if we all got tattoos of an egg? And I mean, I was a little bit nervous because I was still very new to getting tattoos at the time, and I'd never walked into a parlor to get a tattoo. So with a little bit of peer pressure and encouragement, we all got egg tattoos. This lady just slapped that stencil on and went to town with her coil machine. It is probably one of my most painful tattoos. Even though it only took 5 minutes, I was so ready to kick someone because it was so painful, so sharp, and oh, such an awful placement to get a tattoo, really painful. But you know, my friends were saying that you can't be a tattoo artist if you don't have a shitty tattoo, which is not true, but it's a funny story, so I really like that. And then moving on to my ankle foot area, I have a myriad of tattoos done by my friend Ayla. I have a bunny and a lamb on my upper ankle, and it's actually kind of funny because my Chinese zodiac is a rabbit, but my partner's is a sheep, ram, or goat. And so it wasn't on purpose, but it kind of is us. And then underneath it is a tattoo done by a Barcelona-based artist called James Rives. He does these dot work tattoos that are based off of Braille. So I don't think the Braille actually means anything, but the configuration of the dots are at least in the Braille alphabet. Underneath it is a cross-stitch tattoo done by my friend Ayla again. On the side of my left leg is this beautiful Japanese camellia tattoo done by an incredible tattoo artist called Dahan Orient. Probably the best tattoo that I have in terms of gray wash. I don't even know how she managed to get such beautiful, clean gray wash. Very inspirational for me, so I love that tattoo. And then on the back of my leg, I have a little girl with a star hat, and she's holding a little bunny stuffy that was done by Nori World. And then underneath it is a car tattoo done by my friend Groundhog Pokes, and he did this tattoo for me along with another one on the other leg, which is a couple of rabbits. But the car tattoo was one that I really wanted to get because I was really into F1 at the time. I was watching Drive to Survive, and I just love the dynamic nature of like racing. And even though I don't know how to race, I don't even know how to drive that quickly, but something about the tattoo just felt really dynamic to me and not so standstill. Underneath it, I have a hand poked hand holding a shell by my friend Elliot, E for eggs. And it's just really special because they did the tattoo for me when he was leaving London and moving back to France. So very special tattoo. Moving on to my right leg, I have a fan tattoo done by my friend Snowstew, and it has red on it because I wanted to incorporate a little bit more color on my right leg. To the left of it is a tattoo that I actually did on myself. This wasn't so much a practice, but just a tattoo that I really wanted to do on myself. As I said earlier, my childhood dog Fudgy meant the world to me and still does. And so I did a tattoo design which has Silky Rabbit, which is a character that I made that kind of embodies myself, and she is sitting next to Fudgy, and they are sitting outside with some oranges because I grew up in Orange County. There were so many orange trees in my backyard growing up, and Fudgy and I would just sit outside and have a good old time just chilling together. So that is a very special tattoo. And on my foot is a tattoo done by Missy World. She is a great hand poke artist in New York, so gentle, so spiritual, and she did this beautiful tattoo for me that has a shell in the middle because I grew up by the ocean. I have a little bow and cherub tattoo by an artist called Allie, SLXPXKE, but she's really amazing, and I love that she brought a little bit of a thicker hand poke on my leg to kind of divvy up the styles because everything else is so fine line. And then above it is actually the last tattoo that I got, most recent one done by an artist called Xingyu Art. She is based out of Toronto, so talented, does these beautiful blue ink tattoos as well. So I wanted to get her to do a blue, black, and red ink tattoo for me. So that is on the right side of my leg, and it is so beautiful. So I think that is all of my tattoos. If I counted correctly, it's somewhere around 30 to 35. I hope you enjoyed this video and kind of my small explanations of going through my tattoos. I would love to know like what your favorite tattoo of mine was because I have so many, it's hard to choose favorites. But yeah. Like if you like this video, and comment and subscribe. It would mean the world to me, and it would just show me that you like what you're seeing. I will see you next time, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!